terrible incident that happened that God was protecting. God knew the future and how things would play out from these two women. Jacob looked up, and there was Esau coming with his 400 men. So he divided the children among Leah, Rachel, and two female servants. He put Leah in front, so if she gets killed, it's no big deal. God protected her. God protected her. He put female servants and their children in front, Leah and her children next, and Rachel and Joseph in the rear. Well, we all know that his favorite son was Joseph. And that got Joseph in a whole lot of hot water with his brothers. That's a totally different story. And the story of Joseph is a fascinating story. He himself went on ahead and bowed down to the ground 7 times as he approached his brother. Why would he bow down 7 times? As a sign of respect. That he had respect for his brother. Also as a sign of humility. That he was coming in humility and not in pride, not in war, not in wanting to destroy him. But Esau ran to meet Jacob and embraced him. He threw his arms around his neck and kissed him, and they wept. Reconciliation. God is the orchestrator of reconciliation. Only he can make it happen. And again, if you're at odds with somebody and you reach out for reconciliation and they rebuff your efforts, walk away. There's nothing more you can do. Nothing. Pray for the person. But you've made your effort, and so be it. But in this case, it worked out well. They were reconciled. Esau looked up and saw the women and children. Who are these with you? And Esau had no idea about the family that Jacob had acquired in 20 years' time. All of the women, all of the slaves. And remember that Leah wasn't having children, so she hired a slave, and he had children by that slave. And then Rebecca, the same thing. She wasn't fruitful, and so he hired a slave for her. And so he was having children by 4 different women. He was having a good time in those 20 years. Please accept. Oh, they are the children God has graciously given your servant. And how many children did he have? We know of 12 sons, but he also had daughters. It was a very large family. So he was having a lot of children. In that 20-year period, he had a whole bunch of children. And Esau didn't know any of these. These were nieces and nephews. And Esau said, well, who are these people? And it's kind of weird when you go to a family reunion and there's family members that you've never met. You're total strangers with your own family. And there's a lot of people in my family that I've never met, both on my mother's side and father's side, going back.
And it's, I have my DNA done. I have like 700 relatives on there now.
Oh, cool. George Washington, one of them, or Abraham Lincoln? No. It's kind of funny, that commercial, that lady on there, where she says, I'm related to, or here's my cousin George, with the picture of George Washington. She didn't realize it, and who knows?
No, but it goes clear back to somebody, one of the 12 disciples.
Right.
Yeah, it goes back to like you were related to John or something. Because you have to have the haplo, it's called a haplo something. Oh, it's a genetic thing that they can trace way back.
It's amazing what genetics can do these days. It really is. Please accept the present that was brought to you, for God has been gracious to me, and I have all I need. And because Jacob insisted, Esau accepted it. So the gifts that Jacob wanted to give to his brother were accepted by his brother, and they reconciled, and they stayed together. They didn't live together, obviously, but they lived nearby one another until they got to be old men, and eventually Jacob ends up in Egypt because of Joseph, and I think, again, that is another story. It's a beautiful, powerful story of redemption and of God's sovereignty. And as we study Scripture, God's sovereignty is just all over the place. God is in ultimate control. And he's also in control of political events. I happen to believe that it was for this time that this man would be the president. I happen to believe that. It is absolutely true. Donald Trump has not lived an exemplary life. There's a lot about him. He's got a lot of rough edges, still does. Although I think the presidency is reshaping him. He's becoming a different man now than he was when he was campaigning 2 years ago. And I think part of that is the godly influence of the men and godly women he's led into his life to be his advisors, to be the ones who were there with him, meeting with him, praying with him. And it's not that other presidents haven't prayed, because they have. But to have a group of spiritual advisors, godly men, pastors, that you can call on. And one of those is the pastor of First Baptist Church in Dallas, Texas, Dr. Jeffers. You see him on Fox News once in a while. I like that guy. I like that guy. And actually, the pastor before him, I heard preach. It was W.A. Criswell, who was the pastor at First Baptist Church in Dallas, Texas, and he actually came to our seminary and preached a sermon. He was at that church. Vince, listen to this. He was at that church, I think, for 40 years. And what he did, he started in Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, and preached the entire Bible, verse by verse. He would preach Sunday morning, and where he would leave off Sunday morning, he'd pick up right there Sunday night.
Oh, really?
Where he would leave off Sunday night, he would pick up and do it Wednesday night. Where he ended Wednesday night, he would pick up on Sunday morning. He literally preached every single verse through his entire ministry.
I wonder how he handled
The begats?
Leviticus. That's a tough
In fact, it was a joke in his church. When did you join? Oh, I joined when he was preaching the Psalms. I joined when he was preaching Matthew's Gospel. It was a judgment as to what time frame, as to where the pastor was preaching. America needs prayer. We really need prayer. We are under satanic attack that is so evident in the events that are transpiring. The willingness to violence. And when you question some of these talking heads, well, Donald Trump talks like that. And I'm thinking about this. Well, let's use some logic here, which you don't see a lot of times in the press. Isn't that just like a bunch of kindergarten kids? Why'd you hit me? He hit me first! Just the way a kindergarten child is going to act. We need to be above that. There's not a lot that Michelle Obama says that I agree with, but the other day, I'm 100% behind her. She was reacting to something that Eric Holder had said. Remember, she was quoted as saying during the campaign, when they go low, we go high. Well, he took that. He says, the saying is, when they go low, we go high. Oh, no, don't do that. You kick them. The former Attorney General for the United States saying, go ahead and kick them. Well, he took a lot of heat from that, and she came on and said, we need to be better than this. What are our actions? actions saying to our children? What are they learning? We need to be better than that. And I agree with that.
You know,
Just because Trump does something doesn't give me the right to do the same thing. We need to be better than that. Yes, Vance?
you know, Hillary Clinton said something very similar to that.
Yes,
said,
she did.
You know, you can't be civil with people that are trying to undermine everything that you believe in. Well, what she forgets is that when the Democrats were in power, the president, they were doing everything that, you know, the Republicans and Christians that we didn't agree with, but we didn't go harassing people
Right.
in restaurants and
Right.
trying to beat down doors and, you know, inciting riots.
Heard something very interesting that I did not know. And that is, there's a lot of, well, he didn't get the popular vote, Hillary won. Did you know that Abraham Lincoln did not win the popular vote? He did not. So if you're going on popular vote, Abraham Lincoln's not president. And if he's not president, we don't have a civil war. But we also do not have the slaves being freed. And we do not have the Emancipation Proclamation, which did what? Legally set the slaves free. The Democrats are saying, oh, these Republicans are racist, they're racist. Who was it that set the slaves free?
A Republican.
A Republican! Yes.
Do you know what I think it is? You said, you know, what kind of an example are we setting for our children? And I think we need to take a step above that. Is what are we saying to our God and about our God? There's no fear of the Lord anymore. I'm scared to death of what God would do if I did some of these things that people in power are doing. I would just be shaking in my shoes.
Yep.
There's no fear of God, and there's no thought of, are we breaking his heart? You know, look at this earth, how gorgeous it is, how beautiful it is. Look at our fellow man, how beautiful they are. Are we breaking God's heart? Yeah, we are. All this hatred and anger.
I just recently found something. Daystar is now on Armstrong Cable. Daystar is a Christian station. And I have found in the middle of the night that they do something that is really neat. It's called Reflections. And what that is pictures from nature with nice, soothing gospel music and praise music. And they put scriptures on the screen, and they go all over the place. It's beautiful. So sometimes if I get tired of the garbage on TV, I put Reflections on. This morning it came on at 4 o'clock, and when I left at 6 it was still on. So that's like 2 hours of sitting there listening to this music, looking at this magnificent scenery of God's creation, and reading scriptures that are put on there that correspond with the music and the scenery. That just really, and there's probably something like that online. Probably can find similar things online. Okay, we move to the New Testament. Next week it is Instruction for Christian Living. This is something that we need to get out to our whole world. Thank you very much.
Very good, Pastor Dave.
Thank
Very good.
Always learn something from you.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that.
Do the new books start next week?